AMT AR room. Various studies have shown that around 70 to 90% of the faults in overhead power lines are transient. At lower level voltages such as distribution, there are fewer and about 80% transient faults, while in higher level voltages such as transmission, this value is about 90%. Thunder is one of the most common reasons for a fault to occur. The swinging of the wires or short circuit of the grid with sun-dry object is another cause for the occurrence of transient faults. Most faults can be solved by correctly using the trip process or reconnection so that the grid disconnection time reaches a minimum. To test any type of reclosers, its exclusive room, which is AMT-AR, can be used. The main window of this room is Instrument AR. Also, it is possible to access other windows from the View menu or the bar on the right side of this page. To begin the test, first, the user needs to insert the functions that need the reconnection process to be examined for them into data table. Therefore, it's possible to examine and access the action or inaction of the AR for different functions. By clicking on Add Cycle, the next rows are added so that the reconnection is examined after the selected functions. After selecting the title of the function, the user only needs to enter the performance characteristic and its settings for the delay and instantaneous units. After that, the amount of the injected current and the fault angle are entered so that the time duration for different states is determined in accordance with the selected curve. Dead time and reclaim time are two other options that are used to speed up making the states. Finally, in the expected section, the user needs to specify their expectation from the success or failure of the recloser after the action of the specified function. In the next step, the user needs to specify the necessary binary inputs and binary outputs in accordance with the elements required for the recloser test. It should be noted that for the convenience of the users, the important signals are available in the drop-down list by default. In this section, by selecting Add Row and Delete Row options, it's possible to add a row to add the binaries and delete the selected row respectively. Considering the two types of the reclose test, including laboratory testing and testing in power stations, some of the titles are common between the two lists of input and outputs. After selecting the number of the binary input and signal, it is possible to specify its influence on the current states including pre-fault, fault, dead time and reclaim time. In other words, the condition for ending every state is determined by binary inputs. In the next step, after selecting the number of the binary output and its signal, the user only needs to specify its condition for every state. This is most useful in cases where, for example, signals such as CB ready or close and open are needed and testing the relay in the laboratory is intended. After adjusting the settings by clicking on Init Test option, the states are created. These states can be viewed from Table View section. Also, it's possible to compare the different settings and elements of every state with more details in Detail View section. In this video, the AR function test for the MyCom P139 relay is going to be performed. In this test, the recloser function is activated after the occurrence of the earth fault. To begin, the user needs to go to the settings section of the relay and set the parameters related to the functions. Here, in the subcategory number 1 of parameters, function DTOC is assigned to SEF protection. In IDMT1 section, the protections of OC and EF are the relay type, while in IDMT2 section, the protections of OC and EF are set at the instantaneous type. Now, by going to the ARC section, the settings related to the auto recloser are adjusted. Here, the TDR option refers to recloser with time delay. Dead time and reclaim time are set at 4 and 20 seconds respectively, but it is also possible to activate the HSR, which is the highest speed recloser. Next, the outputs are configured. Moreover, in INP section, the inputs needed for the assessment and the test are configured. By referring to the relay manual, it is possible to view on the outline of the behavior of the P131 recloser function. In certain situations, such as cases where there is a manual close, external signal, ARC function deactivation, and manual trip and protection deactivation, the recloser will be blocked. It is possible for the user to examine these signals in the AR room of the AM Pro software. The user can begin the test after ensuring that the necessary conditions for the recloser to perform are met. These conditions include activating the protection, not blocking the ARC function, and being able to open and close the breaker and have the closed state of the key. To adjust the relay wiring, the user can use the connection diagram from the manual. The user needs to go to the AMT AR room one more time and add the two functions of earth fault and overcurrent. It should be noted that in the first step, reconnection is tested for the earth fault function. This step must be passed successfully, and receiving the closed signal or the connection needs to happen as well. After specifying the settings related to this function, in the first row, signal phase fault to earth is selected and dead time and reclaim time values are entered. Also, in the expected section, the expectation from the act of reconnection is set at successful. In the next row, OC function is added. Similarly, the settings related to the delay and instantaneous stages, as well as the fault current value, fault type, dead time value, and reclaim time value are entered. In this section, we expect the act of reconnection to be successful. Now it is time to configure the input binaries. In this section, connection trip and pulse are selected from the list in this exact order. Here, trip is selected as the fissure element of the fault state. It is also possible to select close pulse or reclosure successful as the fissure element for the dead time state. This should be noted that the pre-fault state time is automatically longer than the reset time or reclaim time. In the binary output section, three signals of CB close, CB open, and CB healthy or AR ready are added. Here it is possible to specify the status of every signal for different states ranging from pre-fault to fault, dead time, and reclaim time. Finally, the states are created by clicking on Init Test option. The user can view the created states by opening the table view window. After creating the states, it's possible to adjust the necessary settings for the assessment in the assessment section. Also, after performing the test, it is possible to assess the performance of the recloser with those two functions. In the end, by clicking on Add to Report option, the test result is added to the created report.